Hello, this is Amin, and you are watching session 58 of asp.NET Core implicit tutorial. In this session, we are going to talk about cross-site attack in asp.NET Core, and also this type of attack is called as XSRF, CSRF attack. And first, let's know more about this type of attack. Cross-site or XSRF, CSRF is an attack against web-hosted app in which a malicious web app can affect how a client browser interact a web app that relies on the browser. Let's explain it with one example. You imagine you receive an email, or you can see this type of message, this type of attractive message in the browser that mention congratulations, you are a winner or whatsoever. And there is a button, then you can click on it to collect your prize. But behind this type of page, it is something that submit a malicious request to account that you have, for example, to your bank account. And if I click on that button, you can see a form will submit to my bank in the transfer controller and index action method. The method is post, and there is three hidden input elements which mention the transaction type is transfer, and receiver is the bank account of the receiver, and also the amount that I want to transfer. And also there is an input element which submits this form, and when I click that form, I submit a request to my bank account to transfer a value of money to an account that I don't know who is behind that account. I make it as simple as possible to understand the situation and what is cross-site attack. And also the way that I present in this session is not the whole solution for this type of attack, and you can research more about this type of attack and the way that you can stop and prevent your web application from cross-site attack. The way that I present in this session using ValidateAntiForgeryToken, which we can use top of the action method in the controller, and also asp-antiforgery inside the form, which is automatically is true, and we don't need to add it to our form in asp.NET Core. But this tag helper, I mentioned it here to know about it. And if we make it to false, we don't send the token to the controller. And if our action method has this attribute and we set the asp-antiforgery tag helper to the false, the operation through an exception. Let's review it in practice with the web application that we have. This is the web application that we have developed until this session, and this is cost controller. And as you can see here in top of delete action method, I just have this attribute, which is HTTP post, and this attribute is expect to receive an ID to delete the record. And let me run this project and see what I have inside my cost entity. You can see here I have 4 records inside my cost entity, and their ID is 1028, 1026, 1028, and 1029. I design a HTML page which is a malicious page and which affect my web application. You can see I simulate the message that I displayed inside the slides, and you can see an HTML which mentioned congratulations, you are a winner, and there is a button, but this button actually attempt to delete the records inside my cost entity, and it could be more harmful activity and more harmful target. And I just want to explain what is cross-site attack. And if you look at the page source of this malicious page, you can see this is the page which has a form and two input elements. One input element has the ID, and the value ID is 1024, which targets this record. And then when I click on this button, this form will be submitted, which called the cast delete action method, and its method is post. And by clicking on that button, this record will be deleted. Let's try it and realize whether my web application is secure against cross-site attack or not. By clicking on this button, you can see the record, which its ID was 1024, was deleted from the entity. As I mentioned, it could be a really harmful request, and it can affect your bank account or insurance or whatsoever. But I want to explain it how one malicious message and one malicious page can affect your web application. Let's secure this action method by the token that I mentioned, by ValidateAntiForgeryToken. And then I'm trying to delete this record, which its ID is 1026, by that malicious page again. Let's back to Visual Studio. And this time, in top of delete action method, I add validate anti-forgery token and save the pages. And I again run the page. I have updated the malicious page to target 1026 ID record of cost. I run the project, and here you can see the malicious page, which has a code that target this record 1026. Let's see the page source, and you can see the value is 1026. But this time when I click on this button, I receive unexpected error, which is related to invalid anti-forgery token. And if I check the cost list, you can see the record is not deleted from the entity, cost entity. And I secure my web application delete action method to prevent cross-site attack. Let's back to Visual Studio and try tag helper for anti-forgery. As I mentioned, the asp-antiforgery tag helper is automatically active for all the forms. And for proof this fact, this is the form which submit the delete record inside the cast entity. And here I'm using asp-antiforgery. And as I mentioned, it's by default true. Let me make it false and save the changes and run the project again. And this time when I try to delete the record, even with the web application, I receive unexpected error, and the record is not deleted because I make asp-antiforgery token to false inside the view. And when I use this attribute inside the controller, the value inside the form, inside the view, should be true to communicate with each other. Let me back this setting to true and try once more to delete one record, this time inside the web application. I'm going back to the view and make it to true. I save the changes and run the project again. Project up and running. Let me refresh the page. And this time I am trying to delete this record, and you can see I successfully delete this record. And also when I delete this tag helper from the form, the behavior is not changed and the result is the same, and it's proof that the default value of asp-antiforgery tag helper is true inside the ASP.NET Core web application. Let me here delete this part, save the changes, and run the project again. And you can see I still have validate anti-forgery token for this purpose. I refresh the page. And again, I try to delete one more record, and you can see I successfully delete that record. Let me add anti-forgery token for the rest of post method inside my controller. Here I have update, and I add validate anti-forgery for this one. Let me copy this attribute. And here for create, I use this one. And now all the post action method prevented from cross-site attack. Let's run the project and see all the modified action method is working without any error or not. Project is up and running. Let me refresh the page. First, I'm going to create one new record. The amount would be 500 and date, no comment. Category would be bill, and I paid with credit card. There is no upload file, and I try to create, and you can see there is no change in the result. And also when I try to modify the records, for example this one, I change the value and submit the changes. You can see the changes applied successfully. In this session, we understand how we can prevent cross-site action in ASP.NET Core MVC web application. Also, you can apply this method on your startup class, that you can do it by yourself as a practice. Also, you can review this type of attack and understand the other way that you can prevent your web application from cross-site attack. Thank you for watching this session. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media channels to receive updates regarding this tutorial. And don't forget to like this video if it's informative for you, and also put your comment below this video and share this video with your friends. Once more, thank you for being with us.